This isn't a dream or vision, but I thought I would include this story and open it up so that maybe my siblings could tell some of the stories of things that happened in our childhood. But when I was 8 years old, we moved from Arizona to Utah, and my dad received the impression that in the pre-existence, he had covenanted to go through the tribulations of the last days, he and his family. And he had the impression and was told that he had a chance, an opportunity to go through the tribulation early. And if he did, he would look bad. He'd look bad to everybody. He'd look bad to his friends, to his family, to everyone he knew, and even those he didn't. But that was part of the deal of going through the tribulation early. Or he could wait, and his family could go through the tribulations at the same time that everyone else did. So he decided, if I'm being offered a deal from God, I should probably take it. So he accepted to go through the tribulation early. A few months after that, he was working on a steel building at the airport in Cedar City. And it was a windy day. They were trying to tie down some insulation. So he's kneeling down on the catwalk, pulling on a bundle of insulation. I guess he was kneeling on some roofing metal, and it normally would have handled his weight, but because he was pulling on the insulation, it put enough force on it that the metal underneath him buckled and he fell through. And he said he remembered he had gloves on, he remembered grabbing the end of that sheet metal and stopping himself and thinking, if I could just get my foot over here, I can get on this I-beam. And then he slipped off the end of his hands just couldn't grip it, and he slipped off the end of that sheet metal. Directly where he would have fallen, there was a concrete abutment with rebar sticking out of it. And had he fallen in that direction, it would have killed him. And he said as he fell, 2 men in white came down and grabbed him and redirected him. And he bounced off a man lift and landed on a pile of sand. When he bounced off the man lift, he hit his hand first, broke the bone just below his thumb, like in the hand, but that connects to the thumb, and hit his head on the man lift so hard that he had a bruise where the strap on the hard hat was, around on the inside of the hard hat, left a bruise on his forehead. The whole side of his body was bruised. He broke some ribs, landed in a pile of sand, but he shattered his foot, all the metatarsals across his foot and the bone in the lower leg. He had to have surgery. They put in a plate in his ankle and in his foot, and they screwed everything back together. And the doctors told him that he would never walk again. A year later is when we had that experience where we were hiking and looking for the place that he felt prompted to look for. He did that hike. We hiked about 140 miles in about a week. And so basically he was miraculously healed. The doctors said he would never walk again, and a year later he was able to do a hike like that. But that was the beginning of a long tribulation, a long difficult period for my family. And there's several stories that go into that we could share, and I guess I'm going to try to get a few of those stories together and open it up for that in future videos.